Yuriorkis Gamboa will not be going through surgery for his alleged ruptured Achilles from the Gervonta Tank Davis fight. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. Cash App, we working. Sign up for ESPN Plus below using my link. It does help the channel. And let's get into it. Now, Gervonta Tank Davis remains undefeated. He became a champion in a new division and got a secondary title, beating Tank Davis. I was at the fight in Atlanta. Great time, full crowd. At first, earlier in the night, there wasn't as many people in the seats, and I was wondering. I was like, okay, maybe the college football game, they're watching that. And just as I suspected, closer to the main event, it filled out tremendously. There were, reported 14,000 plus was the announced attendance. Tank is definitely a star. Now, his opponent, it wasn't his night. He lost, and he lost in a bad fashion. Knocked down 3 times. Tank Davis was bopping his head up. Really did what he wanted with him. There were points where Tank kind of slowed down. People have different opinions on it. Tank said post-fight he wasn't tired. I think he moved up in the weight division, and Gamboa, people suspected that he wouldn't be durable. So I think Tank was putting a lot of energy, because he got a second round knockdown, a lot of energy into knocking out Gamboa and trying to be impressive, similar to Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. And when he seen that Gamboa kept getting back up and appeared to be a bit durable, I think he slowed down a little bit. So, definitely wasn't bad. A lot of the haters and old media, they try to act like Tank was losing rounds or, looked horrible or pathetic, but I didn't see that. One of the excuses that old media made was that Gamboa, his injury is somehow Tank Davis's concern or fight, or it's his fault. And, that's just horrendous if you think about it, because why would we blame Tank Davis for not only creating a knockdown and hurting his opponent, but his opponent falling awkwardly? Because when you get knocked down, you're not necessarily expecting to take a hit, and you don't necessarily have your balance or the ability to catch yourself. So I don't really see how that would be Tank's fault, that he landed the perfect shot that he needed to, created a knockdown, and in the process, Gamboa twisted his ankle or ruptured his Achilles. Now, they did MRIs. They said he had some type of rupture, and they talked about the severity. Now, the information has come out from Gamboa's team that he is not doing surgery. Surgery is not needed, and as a result, he should be able to start performing duties in about up to 3 months, they said. So maybe a 3-month rehab and recovery process, which, I know this has to make old media and the haters mad, because a lot of people were banking on Gamboa's team saying this, and this is just as I suspected. Ego Stradamus strikes again. A lot of people were running with this narrative that, Gamboa was this one-legged man and he would have won had he not picked up injury, or, this ridiculousness. But I don't think it influenced the fight. And from knowing a bit about this injury, since my dad had this injury, he had an actual tear, an actual rupture of the Achilles. He couldn't even stand and put weight. And I made several videos about it, talking. I'm like, hey, it looked kind of weird, because Gamboa, if you get knocked, he got knocked down to the canvas 3 times and he kept getting up. If you have a true maximum damage ruptured tendon or Achilles, you can't even put weight on it, let alone lift yourself up from your butt being on a mat. That would be extremely hard, especially with nothing to grab onto, nothing to help support you get up. So I'm not trying to say Gamboa is lying. I don't want to put that on him, but I think the whole ruptured Achilles, it has to be on the lower side of the spectrum in terms of the severity, because there is no way We've seen people like Kobe Bryant with this injury, Richard Sherman when he was with the Seahawks. He now plays with my 49ers, things like that. And you're out of commission. There's different severities, different bodies can handle pain to a different severity somewhat, but Gamboa is not Superman, where he can just fight through it and put tape on it. It just doesn't sound like that's the reason why he lost, point blank, period. And I know this has to upset old media because this is what they were banking on and holding their argument that, even Terrence Crawford said it, mocking Davis, saying, oh, you fought a one-legged guy and it took 12 rounds. And, it's just, to me, I never used that because I don't think that's why Gamboa lost. And it's like they were trying to stack things against Tank's performance. On one regard, they're saying Gamboa is old, Gamboa is worn out, he's shop worn, he's damaged goods, he hasn't been the same. But then they also said it was because of this Achilles injury. So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. If he's shop worn, then that could explain why he looked like how he looked, if that's what you're saying. So why would you have to double down and blame it on the injury? So that goes to show me that the haters are willing to say whatever in order to try to tear down or downplay Tank's victory. They were just willing to say whatever, because if you say a man is shop worn and damaged goods, then that should be good enough. You shouldn't really have to rely on an injury and say he was one-legged and all this extra stuff. If he was damaged goods, he was damaged goods. So to me, I don't think people were going to give Tank credit for it, no ways. And they're just looking for it. And I think part of it's because Tank's black. Part of it's because Tank signed to Mayweather Promotions and these types of things. And, people kind of look at Tank as kind of like they look at Floyd Mayweather. He's attached to that name, and Leonard Ellerbe and Al Heyman. Everybody's connected to. So, the racists and old media and various people, they don't want to give him credit. So anything he does is under a microscope. If Tank misses weight, this is global headlining news. Everyone's like pointing the finger and tisk, tisk, tisk. But Virgil Ortiz Jr. just missed weight versus a unknown guy in Brad Sullivan. And same situation. He had to come back within 2 hours, make the weight. Then he made the second attempt. And I haven't heard. And Virgil Ortiz Jr. is a rising star with Golden Boy. He's with Robert Garcia, so he has a professional team, et cetera, et cetera. And I didn't hear anyone complain. I didn't hear anybody lambast or, call names and call Virgil Ortiz fat. And he moved up from 140 to 147. So it's virtually the same thing as Tank. He's very young too. So he's under 24, 23, somewhere right around there. And he had to make weight on the second attempt, and he just got to this division of 147. So why is Virgil Ortiz can't make weight? But like I said, it just goes to show you the popularity of Tank, and it shows that he's a cash cow, and it shows that people have this animosity and resentment towards the success of Tank, which is why they have all these excuses when he wins. They nitpick every move he makes, and why did he push Gamboa? Why did he do this? Et cetera, et cetera. So anyway, Gamboa doesn't need surgery. I don't really know who he fights next or where he goes from here. I think he had maybe possibly twisted his leg up or something, or hurt his ankle or his Achilles to a degree, but it's on the lower spectrum to the point where that's not the reason he lost. Again, you've seen fighters like David Haye versus Tony Bellew in the first fight. You literally cannot walk on it. You can't do anything. You can't put weight on it. And Gamboa was moving around. He was evading, trying to evade some of the attack. He was countering. He's watching out for shots and different things like that. I think Gamboa's mobility was far too good for him to have a severe ruptured Achilles. So I think whatever was wrong with his leg or whatever happened when he fell was very mild and definitely wasn't the reason, like I said before, wasn't the reason he lost, because his mobility was far too good. He was far too agile, and different people handle injury and things, pain different, but it gets to a point where if you have a a severed tendon or a ruptured Achilles and it's maxed out, it doesn't matter what your threshold for pain is. It's you don't have the ability. There's a disconnect. You don't have the ability to stand or put weight on it. It doesn't matter how much heart you have or how much you want to continue. You know, it's not necessarily like fighting with a broken hand or a broken arm. You know, your leg. People take these things for granted because we have them, but it affects so much when something like an ACL or an Achilles is compromised, because this is your ability to stand and to move. Things that we do, like just walk into the kitchen to go get some cereal. You know, these things, trying to perform simple actions, become hard. That's why when you see these gruesome injuries and broken ankles and Achilles tears and all this stuff, and the people have to go through physical therapy with the physical therapist because they can barely walk. You got to teach yourself how to walk. That's why you have to rehab and physical therapy your way back. So, you know, this just basically proves this is not the reason why Gamboa lost, because at the end of the day, like I said, my dad had an actual severe ruptured where he had to have surgery. They had to put this piece of metal, like a metal pin, in his leg. He has like a scar on his right there in the back of his foot, and it took him about 6 months to walk without a cane. And he told me, I just asked him, he said to walk and kind of feel like the same type of mobility that he had before, he said it took closer to a year, you know, where he really felt like he was back. So that's it. People hating on Tank, and this is more proof. If you love what I'm doing, smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off.
So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.